So in my last video, I talked about the truth about fat loss and explained that a lot of people just think that there's all this magic out here. There's a magic protein or a magic powder or a magic pill that they can take. And I talked about how you need a sustainable diet and discipline and all that. And I mentioned that I will be making other videos starting with this one on the different diets, the different workout plans that I think are best. This one's we're going to cover the different diets that are out there and the ones that I feel work really well and the ones that I feel you should stay away from. So the first type of diet I'm sure you've heard is called a crash diet. A crash diet is this diet plan that you find from these bigger training companies that is designed to work in a short amount of time, and it's pretty much by removing something completely. For example, keto is a crash diet, and what it is it's the removal of carbohydrates. It's a high protein and high fat and zero carb diet. The reason why crash diets like that do not work is because your body needs carbs, proteins, oils, fats. You need all of that. So that magical food pyramid that we all learned as kids, your body still needs that. Now, maybe the percentages on that food pyramid have changed because we've adapted, but for the most part, what's on it, you need. So what people need to understand is you can't just remove it and never go back on it, which is why things like keto, they don't work more than a couple months. You really can't be on it much more than 2-3 months because your body will eventually start to reject the fact that you have just completely removed carbs. It's just not going to work. And if you go online and you read about hospitalization stories and hospitalization events where people were on keto for too long and they were hospitalized because their bodies reacted in these just outlandishly bad ways because of the removal of carbs completely, you'll find way more of that than you will success stories on keto. So that's a crash diet. Okay. Then we have what's called a STAR diet. And a STAR diet is a long-lasting diet but incredibly expensive, which is why we call it a STAR diet. These STAR diets consist of incredibly lean proteins that you really can't find in many superstores, and they consist of high class everything. For example, I found one that recommended that you were eating squid and veal and ground turkey and just all these things that the average person can't afford. I don't know about you, but I can't afford a ton of squid and salmon and scallops and veal, and I just can't afford it. It's a great diet because the protein to fat ratio is beautiful, and the specific carbs that they wanted you to eat were just great, but buying the brands that they wanted you to get was just insane. And then on top of that, they want you to take this supplement, that supplement, this supplement, and that supplement. And when you add it all together, it's thousands and thousands of dollars a month. And I'm not even kidding. I priced one out. I'm not going to name the name of the program because I did like the person once I've met him, and I understand why his diet is the way it is. But the thing was, I was reading his diet, and it was just with the meats, the veggies, the proteins, and then all the supplements that he wanted you to take, it was $1,200 a month to afford. I mean, if you got that type of money for it, go for it. But I just don't think a lot of people, have $1,200 to throw away and do that. So that's what we call a STAR diet. Okay. Then we have the longer lasting diets, just in general, old bodybuilder style diets that can be modified, okay? These diets consist of a high protein, high carb, low fat. They consist of high protein, high fat, low carb, low fat, low protein, and then, oh God, I can't remember the last one, and I'm sorry, I look like a fool, but those three are very typical diets that you can find online, and they're all fat loss diets. They all kind of just depend on the type of training that you're doing. Me personally, I feel that the high protein, high carbohydrate, and lower fat diet is a lot easier to maintain than anything else. And I say that because of one very crucial ingredient, and that is rice. Rice is one of those, carbohydrates that it's incredibly cheap. You can buy it in bulk, and you can add it to just about any dish and instantly make it much more hearty and much more filling without, going crazy in just carbs. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's all carbs, but it's a carb that your body digests really well, and it's a carb that just fits with nature, and it's a good carb. So for me, I think high protein, high carb is just the easiest one to do. And like I said, it's because of rice. Because really, as long as you pick any protein, you're adding some rice, you're adding some veggies, boom, you've got high carb, high protein, and you're done. The next one that I think is doable, but for me it's a little bit more complicated, would be the high protein, high fat, and low carb, but still having carbs. I think that is sustainable because you go out, you get your protein, you buy protein in bulk, your ground meats, your chicken breast, whatever. You still get rice, but you get less rice. But the high fat would have to be like, it's a little bit more expensive because you want like more avocado and you want the good fats. So to me, it's sustainable because you can, just buy a ton of avocados and stuff like that. And yeah, you can get the high fat, but avocado eventually gets decently expensive, especially during the wintertime. But you're still buying your rice or your potato, and you're getting that fat, and you're getting the carb and whatever. But the good fats, there's not a lot of good fats, and that's why I don't recommend that you do that particular diet. But I'm not going to sit here and say it's not a sustainable diet. And then finally, the lower protein, the high carb, and then the moderate protein, the high carb, and then the moderate fat. That's more of a diet that I think if you're training like as a marathon runner, where you need the higher carbs to kind of keep your system running, and you lower the fat, and then you have a moderate protein just to keep muscle build, there. I feel like unless if you're that particular type of athlete, there's really no need to do it. But again, that's an opinion, but I do understand, because once again, really you're spending most of your money on rice and potatoes, and then you get a moderate protein and a lower fat. I mean, you're still going to burn fat because your training style, like I said, is probably a little different. So those are the type of diets that, those are the sustainable diets that are doable, that I think are affordable. And like I said, my personal opinion is high protein, high carb, and low fat with the right training style. So those are the types of diets. So once going back over it, you have your STAR diet, which is a beautiful diet. It's just incredibly expensive. You've got your crash diets, which are the you know, the ketos where you're removing something. So, you know, the new one is keto, which is removing all carbs, and then, you know, at one point it was don't eat any fat, and then, you know, a couple of years ago it was eat a little bit of fat and like no carb and just triple your protein. I mean, they change literally all the time, and they're diets that your body can be on, and then you crash because they don't last. And that's crash diet. And then your sustainable diets, which are the high protein, high carb, low fat, high carb, moderate protein, low fat, high carb, no, dang it, now I said it wrong. High protein, high fat, low carb. Those are your sustainable diets. But each diet, one more diet. Sorry. One more diet I just remembered. Fad diets. All the fad diets. So, a fad diet is that magical diet that you find on Dr. Oz or some random celebrity that says, "Oh, this is what I'm doing right now." So, a couple years ago, the big one was the paleo diet, which was don't eat anything that would not have been found in the paleo time, which was essentially meat and wheat, and you didn't drink anything, you know, so that was water, because anything else didn't exist. That's pretty much what you ate. You know, there are diets like the paleo diet. There are there's the Yoplait diet, which is substituting certain meals with yogurt, a high protein yogurt. There is the snack diet, which is the theory that if you eat multiple teeny tiny snack size meals, so instead of making breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you would wake up in the morning, you would have like a boiled egg, one, you know, it's just enough to kind of get you going, and then a few hours later you would have some cheese and pepperoni or something, and you would just continuously snack all day, and this way you were speeding your metabolism up, and you were, you know, constantly eating, therefore your metabolism speeds up, but you weren't eating anything of massive, you know, substance, and you weren't getting too many calories and so on and so forth. The problem with that is you're never full, and you have a tendency to overeat, because some people would snack just until they weren't hungry, not completely full, but not, you know, starving, and they get to that point where it's like, all right, and then an hour or two later you're eating again, and you do the same thing. So you're just about filling your stomach, but not fully filling your stomach, and then doing it over and over and over and over. And if you have no willpower, and one day you snack a little bad, or now you're just having bad snacks multiple times a day, and well, that doesn't help you. And so those are fad diets, and there's a reason why it's called a fad, because as soon as it starts to not work, or someone figures out, hey, this doesn't work, then people stop doing it, and it disappears. So that's another type of diet. So those are your diets. That's how I feel that you should do. And those are the different types of diets. And each diet, like I said, has its own workout plan that best suits it. And I'll go over the workout plans in my next video, because, well, this is just fun. Alright. See you guys in the next video. Peace.